Hello and welcome everybody. I am so happy you are here today. I hope you are just going to love this fun card design as much as I did. This is called a hidden fold door card or trifold hidden door fun fold card or whatever you want to call it. It has different names and it is just a really fun version of a trifold, hidden door, fun fold, like what, like I said, whatever you want to call it. I have made it with 3 different themes, 3 different color schemes, 3 different designer papers. And I'm going to show you exactly how to make it. We're going to make one together. So I just thought I'd show you the 3 different ideas I came up with. And you might be saying, yeah, I've seen this around. It's been on YouTube. It's been on social media. I've seen this card before, but I want to tell you the difference the reason I'm doing it today is that the designs that I originally saw from, let's see, I saw it from Dawn Griffith, from Patty Dolan, from Tammy Savello. I'm sure lots of other people have done it, but the designs that I saw, you had to use 2 separate pieces of cardstock for your base and for this piece, this fold out piece, because you couldn't get everything out of an 8.5 by 11. And so I re-engineered this, and this will be on pattystamps.com tomorrow. But the way I'm going to show you to do this, you can get both pieces out of one 8.5 by 11, and then you have an extra piece. I'll show you what I did with it, but if you just trim it a tiny bit, this is actually a 1/4 sheet of cardstock, so you could use that on another card rather than cutting into 2 pieces of cardstock. So that's why I wanted to do this. It was just kind of a challenge that I presented to myself because I wanted to see if I could do it just with the 1 piece of cardstock. So that's what we're going to do today. So now that I think everybody has been jumping in live, hello Donna, Lori, Kathy, hello Dickie, hi, how is everybody doing today? I think I might have seen some other people pop in, but I am not seeing those comments. So anyway, we'll move on. Hello, Gloria. Welcome. How are you? So this is Patty Bennett. Let me just introduce myself for everyone who is here. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I have inspiration for you using Stampin' Up! Products at pattystamps.com. If you need one of our new catalogs that starts May 6th, 2025, that is available through my blog. You can also sign up for my newsletter or my blog feed in your email. And I'm happy to help you with your projects and your orders. Hi, Jackie. Welcome. Hi, Tammy. Hi, Marguerite. Hi, Jen. Hi, Johanna, Leslie, Gloria. Hello, everyone. So happy that you're here. So today's card is a trifold hidden door card. I just call it a great fun fold, and I'm going to show you how to make this out of 1 piece of 8.5 by 11 plus your strips of designer paper. This particular paper is called, let me get the name right, Floral Impressions. It is an online exclusive that starts May 6th, or it's available now to demonstrators. This paper, oh, where did I put my pack? Oh, here it is. It's called Beautiful Gallery, and it is amazingly gorgeous. This stamp set is part of it, and this is available in the new catalog starting May 6th. And I just took 2 different patterns, well, actually 3, because this is the back side of one of them, and I combined that into one of these trifold hidden door cards. And then this is actually available right now, and it is called Woven Textures. I have had it a couple of months, well, several months, because it was introduced a few months ago as an online exclusive. And I was inspired. Let me show you these 2 swap cards that were given to me in Raleigh at the Stampin' Up! Onstage event. These were 2 cards that I received, and I thought, oh, I have got to use this paper. It's really beautiful, even though it's just this one pattern that, pardon me, that both people used. This is by Anne Granger. This is by Sally McFadden. But I thought, oh, I've got to take this paper out of my stash and use it because I loved both of those cards so much. And so I've used 3 different patterns. Wait, 4? No, just 3. 3 different patterns from this pack. And okay, I have to apologize because I realized as I was putting together the supply list on my blog, this stamp set has actually now been discontinued. It has sold out, as has this stamp set and this paper. It all must have just happened like within about the last week because these were available and now they are all gone. So in addition to re-engineering this into just one piece of cardstock for you, I'm going to show you a different way to use this stamp set in place of this paper. You know, best laid plans. We try and then things sell out. So anyway, the Woven Textures is available. And again, these 2 papers and this stamp set will be available starting May 6th to all customers. So there we go. We have all the ins and outs out of the way. Hello, Lois. Hi, Sheila. Welcome, Faith. Hello, Diana, Ethel, Carol, Kathy. Hi, Mary. Hello, everybody. Hi, Anne. So happy that you're all here. So let me show you this Woven Textures paper is part of this new suite. Well, it's kind of new. I mean, it's been out for a while. And it is called the Botanical Textures Suite. So these patterns right here are the paper that I used on this card. This suite also has this black and white paper. And this is called, what is this one called? Woven Textures. Where's the other 12 by 12? Oh, Botanical Textures. Sorry. The black and white is called Botanical Textures. There are also some neutral colored dots. There's a corrugated embossing folder that we're using today. And then you've seen me use these dies. This is just one of my favorite new products that came out a few months ago, and it is called the Textured Notes dies. I love these rectangles. I've been using them a ton on lots of products, so don't forget about that. You can get the whole suite, including the ribbon and all of those products, for one price, or when you go to that Botanical Texture suite online, it breaks down all of the individual products. Before we get started on this card, I do want to show you, I also pulled out the black and white paper, and I want to show you, this is a sneak peek of something that I think I will probably share this on next week's live. This is a really fun project. It was inspired by Amy Combs, and it features 2 of these gift bags. So this is the smaller gift bag. This is the larger one. They come in a pack together. This is on the last chance list and will probably sell out soon. But this is the 2 bags put together, glued together, decorated with paper. And I wanted to show you that I did use that black and white paper that I just showed you for this project, and this new beautiful Gallery Blooms stamp set. So what this does is that it creates pockets, 4 pockets, and I used that black and white paper and that stamp set to put into the pockets to decorate those little fillers. And then this is what that project looks like. So this, I think, will be next week's live to show you all the ins and outs of that. And then I'm doing sort of a different version of it on our upcoming crafting cruise. So this is just sort of a little tiny bit of a sneak peek for that as well. It won't be with this paper. It won't be with this stamp set, but it is going to be a really fun project. So I just wanted to show you that as a little sneak peek. Put that out of the way so we can get back to our project. But I wanted to share it because if you were thinking about this entire suite, then you would have that paper for that project and this paper for today's project. So I thought you just might want to see that. It is part of this whole online exclusive release that was released a couple of months ago. Lots of products. I've been posting this PDF for those of you who find it handy to look at actual printouts rather than just the online store. Okay, so let's get back to this. I just love this card. I love this idea. And let's get going with our version of it today. Oh, hi, I see a few people have jumped in. Hello, welcome everybody. No, Mary was asking if that other project, well, actually neither project is thin enough for one stamp. This is probably going to need, at least in the US, the non-machinable, and I would just take it to the post office and ask them how much postage. I always do that when in doubt, because this is somewhat thick, as is that other project that I just showed you. Gosh, sorry, I'm just totally stumbling over my words today. So this Woven Textures paper is gorgeous. And by the way, if you are a content creator or anyone who takes photos of your projects, etc., this paper is really cool to have in your stash for using as a background. Just showing you some of the patterns here. It's a little bit busy, but it is really cool paper. So I bought an extra pack just to use as backgrounds for some of my projects. And then I also pulled out crumb cake and pecan pie. Sorry, I don't know why my mind is like so blank today. It's crazy. And then also, this is the basic beige, and I thought these colors kind of went well, as does vanilla and white. So I had pulled out those. Sometimes I just leave cardstock in my pack of designer paper to remind me of what colors that I like. So that is just like a little side tip that you might want to do. So we are going to use crumb cake today. And let me show you the cutting and scoring to make both this back base piece as well as this fold out piece. And then we will do the cutting and scoring and the other designer series paper pieces. So like I said in the beginning, my challenge to myself for this card was to see if I could re-engineer this project to use one piece of 8.5 by 11. And it was very simple to do. The only change I made from Dawn and Patty and Tammy's card was, instead of this strip being 3.5 inches wide, you just make it 3 inches wide, and then everything else is the same. But it seems simple if you kind of think about it that way. And I just thought, I just want to use one piece of cardstock so that I don't have to cut into a second piece. So what I'm going to do, by the way, this will be on pattystamps.com tomorrow. So that will be April 19th. What I'm going to do first is just use my trimmer to cut a 3-inch strip off of this piece of 8.5 by 11. We'll score that in a minute. But then this piece is the one that I need for my 5.5 by 6.5. And since it is already now 5.5, I'm going to open up that arm and slide this over to 6.5 so that I have a 5.5 by 6.5 inch piece. And then just to make a regular size card front, or card base, sorry, we're scoring that at 4.25, which, if you're following along, makes this 4.25 by 5.5. Fairly magical, fairly easy, right? This leftover, like I said, if you just trim this right there at 4 1/4, now you have a regular quarter piece of cardstock that you can set aside and use for another project. I actually cut this down to I think it's 2 by 3. We'll go over that in a minute. Yeah, 2 by 3. Look at that. I even wrote it down. I embossed a 2 by 3 piece for our card, and you can do that as well with that extra piece. Then this strip, we are going to cut it down to 10 1/2, which all you need to do really is put it over at the 1/2 inch mark right here to cut 1/2 inch off, or you can look over here and put it at 10 1/2. So like however your brain works. Okay, so we're just taking 1/2 inch off. This is really about the only wasted piece out of the whole 8 1/2 by 11. And then we are going to score. Very easy measurements for scoring. We are going to score at 2, 3, 5 1/2, and 8. So I'm going to put this on the screen. I'll pause for a minute. If you would like to take a screenshot, feel free. But again, it will be on pattystamps.com tomorrow. That is April 19th. And you can pin it, save it, print it, whatever you want to do tomorrow. You will have that at your disposal. All righty. So now we can put the trimmer away until we're ready to cut our designer series paper pieces. Whenever you do folding, scoring and folding, you'll really want to use your bone folder, and you can just go through and score on every, or burnish, excuse me, on every score. And then if you really want this to work like really nicely, just go back the opposite way and just score, burnish on all the scores so that this piece can kind of just fold however we need it to fold. And I'll show you how that attaches in just a minute. Likewise with this piece, to make our 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, if you just score it back and forth, then it will burnish it back and forth. Then it will ensure that it opens and closes really nicely. I found that decorating this piece first is easiest, and then we will attach this, and it is going to go right inside here. We'll attach that later, but you can see if you attach this now, it's impossible to decorate the base card. So set this one aside and decide which patterns you want to use. I used this darker, bolder pattern as my background, and the kind of softer, a little more petite of a pattern on the front. And I repeated a little bit of it inside as well as this third pattern. And since I really like how this turned out, I'm going to use the same patterns because I think this really turned out nicely. So we will cut this piece. I'm going to put this right here in case, again, if you would like to take a screenshot, you're welcome to. That will be on my blog tomorrow as well. That is the dimensions I used for my designer paper. I did a couple things a little bit differently than the previous cards that I have seen on, well, the internet, let's just say that. So this is what I used. You'll see that it differs just a little bit from what the other crafters have shown in their videos. So we are going to cut this one at 5 1/4 by 4. And that will go as our inside piece right there. Then I need a 2 by 5 1/4. I didn't even put the 4 by 5 1/4 on here. Please hold. I'll put inside just so that helps. Well, that's funny. Good thing I knew that by heart. That's the easy one, right? 4 by 5 1/4 on the inside. And then I need 2 by 5 1/4. I put one inside and one on the front. Let me just write that. Times 2 pieces. Okay, 2 by 5 1/4. And I will use this one, this pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and do 5 1/4 this way. And then I'm going to do 4 and 2 so that I have those 2 pieces. So one of them, oh, that's funny. There must have been a scrap underneath there. One of them goes on the front and one of them goes here. So let's go ahead and glue those pieces first, and then we can talk about the pieces that are small that go on this little strip. Okay? Sorry for my reach. Hi, Patty. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Josie. Oh, Josie says this suite is in her cart. Yes, this is a gorgeous suite. Don't wait too long because it's been out for a while and it is an online exclusive suite. And those don't have really like a set. Ooh, wait, I kind of like this. Let's switch it up just a tiny bit and let's use this pattern. Then we'll have just a slightly different one. Anyway, the online exclusives do not have a set date for being available. So don't wait too long to finalize that in your cart. So this is going to look almost the same. We'll just have the slightly different pattern right here. Okay, so you get those 3 pieces on first before you start decorating and gluing this piece on, because we need to make sure that those are secured before we glue this on top. Let's see. Hi, Lynn in Tennessee. Hi, Cheryl. How are you? Good morning, Nell. Happy that you are here. All right, so what I did just a little bit differently than the other cards that I saw was this front panel, which is going to be this piece right here. I went ahead and used, let me find it. Here it is. The mini corrugated 3D embossing folder that is in this suite. And I cut a piece of that crumb cake cardstock that was just in that little leftover part that we had when we cut down for the base card. I cut it to 2 by 3 and I embossed it, and I used it just to cover that panel. Instead of one more pattern, I just thought, oh, let's have a little texture. And again, I was inspired by this swap card that I showed you earlier. I really liked how that looked. So I'm going to do that instead of a piece of designer paper on this front panel. But you totally could do designer paper. I did do designer paper on those other 2 cards, these 2 florals. Those both have a piece of designer paper behind there on that 2 by 3 front panel. So you can totally do that if you want. I just really liked this corrugated part. The only other change I made was this piece right here. Instead of making it a 1/4 inch smaller, I covered this whole 1 by 3 area. I did it here on this one, and I did it here on this one. The reason I did that was because of this front panel being a full coverage, I wanted this panel to be a full coverage piece. You don't have to do that. You can cut it down so that it looks like these, where they're 1/4 inch smaller. I don't know, just did that. It was just, it's whatever, right? There's no right or wrong. You guys know that. So let's see, when this is on here and you see the front, I'm trying to decide. See, on this one, I matched those two pieces, those two patterns. So do I want to match it? Do I want it to look like that? Or do I want to introduce this other pattern? Because, you know, you totally can do that. I don't know. I am kind of liking the matchy-matchy. I think we'll do the matchy-matchy. I think we'll do that. Isn't it fun just deciding what patterns and how you're going to make your card your own, make it to the patterns, and oh, that's already 3. Awesome. Make it just the way that you want it to be. I think that's so fun. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Yeah, we'll do that. So that is 1 by 3. This corrugated piece was 2 by 3. We're just going to butt it up there. And I think it looks like this is hanging over just a teeny tiny bit. It is just barely, not even like a 1/16 of an inch. So I'm just going to, oh, I hope you didn't hear my tummy. Oh my gosh, I just growled. I'm just going to trim that just so that doesn't hang over. Not that anybody's going to see it, but I'll know that it was hanging over. Now, I did find it seemed to be easier to decorate these inside pieces before gluing all of this together. So if that helps you, you can do that as well. And these two, as well as this piece, are the 2 1/4 by 2 3/4, and I put 3 pieces. So you can decide then what patterns you want to use for that. And I think maybe if we go back to this piece, I think then we're just sort of doing the opposite of that. So yeah, let's do that. Let's see. Does this really have a right or a wrong, an up or a down? I don't really think it does. I don't think it matters. So we need 2 1/4 by 2 3/4. So let's see, is this 5 1/2? It's not. So let's do that to 5 1/2. And then we'll do that to 2 3/4. And then I need 2 of the 2 1/4. So there we have 2 of the 3 that we need. And then we'll do one more. We'll do our third one. So if I do that and flip this over and I do that, then we have those 3 pieces. So let's glue those, and then we'll add some little torn elements that I think are really, really appropriate for using this Woven Textures paper to add sort of some torn parts. I think it looks really good. And that is when these little scraps come in handy. So look at that. It's the exact right size. So we'll just tear so that we have that little white edge showing. Well, let's just add that right there. I like that. I like that a lot. And then we'll add our third one over here. Wonder if we should, no, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? It's fun to play with other different parts and pieces. And I am kind of thinking that maybe my torn piece is going to be this darker one. And maybe we'll put it on that side. I think so. So let's tear a little strip off of here and trim that to 2 3/4. And I'm going to put it on this side just to make it a little different. Okay, so there we have some torn edges. It's kind of fun, right? And then somewhere, this vanilla piece is floating around, and it's completely, oh, it might not have disappeared. Hang on, because I have supplies over here. It might be in here somewhere. No, it's not. Okay, we'll just grab a piece of vanilla and cut a piece of vanilla. Or easier said than done if you can't find your vanilla. Here it is. So 2 3/4 by 2 1/4. Tell me I'm not the only one who just cuts right on top of their project. Was that making any of you cringe, or do you guys do that? I've been known to just have like piles of stuff and just do things, even in my lap. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so now we have this piece decorated, and I'll show you the tip for adding it to your card. So this one will fold in, this one folds shut, and it's going to look like this when it comes out of the envelope. So this piece, I don't know, I found it easier to turn it like this. This piece, if you kind of fold this back like this, you can get a visual of centering it left and right this way. And it's going to glue right on here. And that's what I did first. There's probably other ways. Whoops. Oh my gosh, that was a close call. There's probably other ways to do that. But that's how I did this first part. So I am going to fold it over because this is going to need to fold backwards like this. And then I'm just visualizing it centered here and here. Okay, and then I'm just going to push, just give it just a moment to rest and kind of just stick on there real good. Then you're going to take this rightmost flap and close it, and then just close this up like that, and this will get stuck here. So let me show you that one more time. So our front left panel that I corrugated, you don't have to do corrugated paper, you can do designer paper. Okay, you're going to put your whole piece out like this, fold the right piece in, and now I'm just shoving this, well, I'm not shoving, I'm sliding, that's a better word, I'm sliding it into place. Okay, now I'm holding this together so that that little area doesn't move, and I'm going to add my glue, and then all you do is close. See, I'm just closing the rest of the card, and that's in exactly the right spot. And again, just giving this a moment, okay? Giving it a moment to attach, and there we go. And that's how you can get this whole card all into place very easily. And you can see what I mean here, that it was easier to decorate these because this does not go flat. It's not supposed to. So it's easier, I think, to get all those little parts in place first. So there we go. So there's that. That's just the mechanics of the base of the card. And let me see if there were any questions. Yeah, okay, so you guys are agreeing. Yep, in the lap. Oh my goodness, yep. Oh, Katie says not on your life. Okay, so most of you do that. Okay, I feel so much better. So then this is kind of funny. I do not know what possessed me. I do kind of know. Well, I figured out. I don't know why I chose to have this sort of a Lost Lagoon color as my second color for this very neutral project. But I figured it out. So this little bowl has been sitting on my desk for, I don't know, like almost 20 years. It belonged to my mom, and she bought it at a craft fair many, many years ago. And I use it for my little scraps. So I didn't want to reach out in front of you, but normally that's what I do. All my little scraps go in there while I'm crafting, and then I dump it into my recycle bin. And look at the colors. Look at that. That is why I picked Lost Lagoon to go with the pecan pie and the crumb cake color combo. And so, I don't know, I just wanted to show you that. First of all, I love that every time I look at this, I think of my mom. And second of all, I just think of like, she loved this and I love this and I'm using it instead of it being something that sits like in the china cabinet or whatever, right? I use it every day and I love this bowl. So anyway, just that's neither here nor there. I understand that. But sometimes people like to hear the reasoning, the backstory of why people use certain design elements. So I'll show you what I used for this greenery sprig here. It is from the Memorable Blooms die set, and this I believe is on the last chance list. It is retiring. I believe it's still available. I hope it's still available. But seriously, any like greenery type fern, whatever, any sort of a sprig thing will work. It doesn't have to be this. Just again showing you what I used. And then I die cut it from the Full of Life paper. So look at all these different parts that I used out of different patterns because I just wanted this sort of like Lost Lagoon shaded spruce sort of a look. So let me just lay these out so you can see them. So aren't they pretty? And I thought it was such a nice complement to just otherwise a very monochromatic looking card. And I don't know, kind of digging like this really bold one. I like this one because this yellow brings out this yellow. But I'm really digging this really bold piece. So I'm going to put that one on the front. And I just simply did a couple of dots of glue. And I know some of you are probably saying you should use the silicone brush, but I want some of these leaves to be loose. I don't want every single leaf to be super stuck down. And what I do, hang on, I have to grab my silicone mat. What I do is I just lay a silicone mat down and press, and then I don't get any glue on my fingers, and I get all those little parts and pieces stuck where I want them to be. So that's going to go on the front, and then I used this Mix Labels dies, and I die cut a whole bunch of them in Very Vanilla. So it's this larger label right here. I used this one. This would also work, but I used this larger one. This is also an online exclusive. And I stamped and kind of tucked it behind a couple of these leaves, which is why I didn't want like an adhesive sheet or something that would make all of this really, really stick down, because I wanted to tuck it under a couple of leaves. And if you were with me here in the beginning, you heard me say that this set that I used in Everything Give Thanks, Courage and Faith, it's one of my most favorite sets. It has now officially retired, and I did not know that. I made this like almost a week ago, this project. So I apologize. I normally always try to share things that are current with you or available soon. So I do apologize, but that is what I used. And I'm going to always keep this because I use it in my gratitude journal all the time. I love this. So I'm keeping this, and you know, again, I just apologize that it's not going to be available if you look in the online store for that. So I used pecan pie. And I didn't think that the entire thing, including the Thessalonians reference, would fit. So what I did was I just inked in Everything Give Thanks. Okay, got it. And then centered that, and I just omitted the Bible reference at the bottom because I thought this kind of looked better than trying to squeeze that whole thing on there. So we are going to put that on the front. And then on the inside, I liked this. I thought this was really nice. I hope your day is filled with joy. I actually think this is supposed to be for a wedding card, this greeting, but like we could use it for whatever, right? It can be anything. And again, double apologies. I did not know that Heartfelt Hexagon had gone on to the official sold out list either. And that's what I used. So friends, I'm just sorry. I feel like I double oopsied this project. Well, triple oopsied, because wait, there's one more thing that I goofed up on. My triple oopsie, and I'll show you how I fixed that. But maybe you have this set, and if not, hopefully you have another greeting that you would like to use. So we are going to add glue, not quite over to this edge because I did let part of this, I don't know what this shape is called. What is this shape called? Well, whatever it is. I let part of that shape hang over there. So I'm just pushing down over here on the left side with the glue. And I'll show you when this opens, see how that is hanging over. So I didn't want to glue it shut to that. And then I wonder if this is loose enough. If I could sort of tuck part of that under. I don't know if I like that. I think I actually like it better right on top. I'm just going to do that. So we're going to put that one here, and then this is where you would write your message. Okay, so then here's my third oopsie. My friends, I am so sorry. I grabbed this, what is this one called? Hang on. It is called Serene Love. So this was in a pack that Stampin' Up! Released just as a special release. It wasn't part of really anything. I don't even, was it January? Maybe December? It's been out a while. They recolored some paper that they had released years ago. And I thought, oh, well, look how pretty these flowers go with my sprig. So I just fussy cut and added these little blooms and this flower. And again, just found out a couple days ago, it's no longer available. Good heavens. So here's what I did. To give you an option, I went ahead and used this new gallery bloom. So this will be available in a couple weeks. I used these two floral stamps. I stamped them with Lost Lagoon. And then I used my blender pen. And I've shared this with you before, but I think it's always worth repeating, a great technique. I dab just a tiny bit of the tip of my blender pen onto the ink pad, kind of scribble it off because I don't want it to be too dark. And then I just used it to add some color, just a little bit of color to these blooms. I didn't want it to be like super dark. I didn't want it to be a huge shaded masterpiece or whatever. I used this stamp and I did that. And then you can see how I just fussy cut right there, that little piece, that one. So I used those two, and I thought I would just add those to my project so that at least you would see that it's a product that you could order if you wanted to. So I thought that would be pretty over here. Maybe, I think I like that. I think I like that direction. So I'm going to do that. And I am not using foam adhesive sheets or dimensionals on the inside of all of this because this is already going to be thick enough, like we were talking about in the beginning. And then I thought I could decorate in here with that. I think I might like just a little more subtle. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do that one. And so all I did was I just tore it. You can use scissors, but I tore it. And do a couple dots of glue. And again, grab my silicone sheet and just press on top of there. And then we'll just add this little bloom that I colored and fussy cut. And I think like somewhere sort of right there. Right there. And normally I would pop up things like this, you know, with my dimensionals or my adhesive sheets, but I'm just trying to decide if I want it under or over the leaves. Sorry. But I think it's just going to be way too thick to put more dimensionals on the inside of here. Okay, so now let's look at it. Oh, I really like it with that paper. Look at the difference. It just brightens it up, doesn't it? I think that's really pretty. Oh, we forgot two things. Sorry, hang on, don't go. Two things on here. So let's just look. So then you'll open it and you'll see that and you'll see that. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I really love this. I really love this. So I forgot two more things. So I'm going to add some linen thread, a bow. And this is another thing. I know you've probably heard this story, but maybe you're newer around here. I've actually had a few people this past week message me and say, I'm new to your channel. I love your video, or thank you for the inspiration, or, you know, whatever. So I know there's some new people who have been finding me recently. So if you haven't heard this spool that I keep my linen thread on is an old spool from about 3 or 4 generations ago from my great-great-grandma and great aunts. They all did quilting, and I have several spools that I have of theirs. And when I buy a new pack of linen thread, I rewind it onto one of these spools. And again, it's just kind of that same thing where I was sharing with you that I love to have something that I know that they used and touched and they loved. Oops, sorry. And I think that's so cool that now I have it on my desk and I see it every day and I use it often. And I don't know, I love that. It just makes me feel happy. It brings me joy. All right, so I have a couple of glue dots and we'll just add our linen thread. And then if you were here earlier, hang on, where did I put that? Hang on, I'm looking. Oh dear. Here it is. If you were here earlier when I was showing the entire suite, there are these matte dots that have like pecan and vanilla and black and white. I can't find mine anywhere. I have looked everywhere for that, and I don't know what I did with them. So since I couldn't find that, I used my pecan and clear ribboned dots because these go really well with this color scheme, this project. And that is what I did to add some embellishment to this project. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, these are also on the last chance list. I'm pretty sure they are. So don't delay on those if that is something that you think you might like. So there we go. There is our finished number 2 woven textures project with the upcoming Gallery Blooms stamp set. So you can kind of see the difference of the one that I made before and then this one. And then if you joined just in the last few minutes or so, I also shared 2 other ideas. This one has some brand new paper that's coming out on May 6th. It's called Floral Impressions. It will be it is an online exclusive. You won't find this one in the catalog. There is a similar one in the catalog, but not this. And then I used strawberry slush for my cardstock base for that one. And this is part of the upcoming Gallery Blooms suite. And this paper and this stamp set are in the new catalog that come out on May 6th. Did I say March before? I meant May 6th if I said it wrong. Sorry. And I used 3 different patterns from that pack. And just one thing to note, you may have noticed, maybe not, I don't know. I stamped this with garden green ink and then colored the flowers blue and the leaves green. That's not something I probably would normally do, but I think it turned out really cool. I don't know. What do you think? You'll have to let me know if that's something that you've done or if you think that might be something fun to try. I did use the new strawberry slush gems on this card. And this one, what is this called? Maybe I don't know. They're buried somewhere. I think this is called like pressed flowers. I think these little gems, they're new and they're somewhere on my desk. If you could see my desk, you'd understand why I don't know where they are. So I hope that this tip for the Trifold Hidden Door card using 1 piece of cardstock instead of 2 and just a few little alterations that I did, I hope you found them helpful. I hope it's inspiring. I hope that you will try this. And if you did not take screenshots of the dimensions, they will be on pattystamps.com tomorrow, which will be April 19th. If you're watching a replay on YouTube, I will link to that. You will be able to find that in the description of the video. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you. I'm so glad you like this. I'm just reading your comments that are live on Facebook. Thank you. Oh, I'm so happy that you like these. Thanks, Robin. Robin likes the garden green ink idea. I'm glad. Tammy says she loves the way my brain works. It scares me some days. Thanks, Joan. Thank you, Kelly. Thanks, Jan, Susan, everyone. Thank you so much. I am so glad that you enjoyed this. And if you liked that card that I shared in the beginning, this 2-bag pocket fold something or other, I don't know what it's called. That one will be next week. I'll show you all the tips for making that. I hope that you'll be able to join me for that. That would be Friday, the April 25th. And then I hope you have a wonderful Easter weekend, however you are celebrating that. And a happy week ahead with lots of crafting time, my friends. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.